Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Adoration, Attraction, and Ache. Adoration, attraction, and ache. And this particular message is targeted to those who adore someone who is just fabulous to look at, fabulous to just show off when you go out into the public, fabulous when it comes to all that he or she has mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? Oh, the dating phase. It's such a lovely thing, isn't it? That adoration that one has for someone who is highly attractive, and that leads to the next A. That attraction that you have, but maybe that individual isn't so attracted to you, or it might be the other way around. We're going to look a little bit closer at that particular A. And then the last A is ache. The ache that one experiences when the truth shows up that all of the adoration and all of what one thinks is an attraction blows up. And all we got is some arguing. That's a fourth A. And a desire to want to break up. Some people have seen this pattern over and over again in their personal relationships because, for one, they're very quick to sleep with that very attractive person that they adore so much. And then they end up experiencing the ache when they realize that they were just used for a one-night stand, or maybe it was for a month, or maybe it was for a year. But it wasn't a relationship that was ever meant to go the distance. Okay? Adoration. So you have these individuals who adore one another during the dating phase. And there is this, pettiness sometimes that shows up where I adore her because, her eyes are just so beautiful. I adore him because, he has a really nice car. I adore her wit. I adore his sense of humor. It's petty. And I say it's petty because these aren't things that are the types of traits that are going to keep you interested for a long time in someone. Okay. How about honesty? How about patience? Is this person patient? Is this person honest? Has this person been in your life long enough for you to see the highs and the lows? Okay. But that adoration goes away very quickly when the disputes start to show up. He or she argues with you about something that you think you're right on. He or she has a problem with one of your family members or friends. He or she doesn't like the fact that you have this interest in that one, or they don't like this thing that you typically do. That adoration, it slowly goes away. The attraction is something that I think for some individuals who move very quickly, and I may have briefly spoke about this in Too Much Too Soon, Internet Dating Blues. It's the type of attraction that some people will have because you look a certain way, so they jump right in to the relationship. This is my ideal woman. This is my ideal man. And they're so enamored with your looks. But once again, that's petty. And then the individual who wouldn't typically date your look, for instance, suddenly will say, I guess I can stop being so shallow and try this one out, right? Only to later realize, this isn't working, and I'm really not attracted to your ethnicity or your type, whatever that type might be. Okay. But then some people will convince themselves that it's okay, it's all right. They'll never share that they're not all that attracted to you any longer, or maybe never was, but just gave you the benefit of the doubt. All of that stuff shows up over time. All of these things that internally people grapple with show up over time. I don't really like him because he's not really attractive at all. I don't really like her because, well, I'm not into that type of woman, and that ethnicity tends to act this way and that way. But, she's so good at this and he's so good at that. And I really like the fact that she has a good job and she takes care of her bills and everything, and I don't have to pay anything. You see, so they will dismiss the fact that they're not really all that attracted to that individual, and they hope that their disappointment in the way the person looks goes away. And for some people it does. For others it never goes away. He was ugly in the beginning when you met him. She wasn't all that nice looking when you met her. And you still got problems with her nose, or you still got problems with his lips, or you still got problems with her skin tone, or what have you. You see, for some people, it just never goes away. Okay. And we're not hating on people, and we're not bad mouthing them or anything in this audio. It's just a simple fact. You are going to be attracted to who you're going to be attracted to. But when you dismiss some things, okay, because you are going after other things, sooner or later, the thing that you're not attracted to is going to come back around again, especially during an argument. Why did I even put up with you? Why did I even go and just settle for you when there were so many better looking people? I mean, that's cutting when somebody says that to you, you see. And that clearly shows that that person is not attracted to you. I know it hurts. I know that at times people can be so cruel. But when you hear that sort of thing come out of people's mouth, that's why I don't like your kind and all that. It's safe to say you need to get away from a person like that. You see. And that ache shows up. You see, once the truth shows up. I mean, I adored this person. I thought that she was so smart and she was so sexy and she was so whatever. Meanwhile, notice though, in all this adoring people and being attracted or not so attracted, there's nothing being said about spirituality. What is their relationship like with the one true God? You see, a lot of times people get into these relationships and they don't care. They simply don't care what a person's spiritual background is or lack thereof. They just go into these relationships and they assume that we're all going to somehow agree on the major things. And then I guess with the minor things, it's okay. It's all right. But those minor things, as you get to know someone, become major things. And those of us who have been in relationships with different folks over the course of our years, we realized a long time ago, or maybe just recently, that spirituality is a big deal. Having a relationship with the one true God is a big deal. And if you love the Lord too much and you read the word too much and you go to the church too much for that person who you're with, they are going to have an issue with that. And the one who's not sold out for the Lord eventually is going to try to turn you away from him. So the adoration and the attraction and all of those other things go out the window if your faith in God is above everything else. Your walk with God is above everything else. You could care less about all these other things if the person is not seeing you for the truth that you speak, for the relationship that you have with the Lord, and they choose to just walk blindly to it and hope that you'll pipe down. Okay. Now that ache that shows up when you realize that you just don't adore that person like you once did. You're not as attracted to him or never was. And then on top of that, you find out that the individual is not into God or, anything dealing with wisdom or righteousness or truth, and is more like the foolish person who likes to look at all things that are unrighteous, disrespectful, political, controversial, doesn't mind arguing with you, arguments, right? That fourth A. It just keeps you with a headache, a stomach ache, and maybe even a backache because you're working so hard to try to make something work. and it's just not. You could be buying them, as I mentioned in another audio, trying to fix a broken relationship. So maybe if I just buy them, and all of this stuff in time, it just becomes one big problem that doesn't seem to ever go away. So we have those individuals that once the revelation has showed up that the adoration and the attraction and now the constant ache is there, it's time for God to be very much a part of your life, to keep you from going insane in a relationship like that. So this is why we do have some individuals that will attend church without partners, or they will be a part of all sorts of groups and you never see the partner. Or at times you may be that one that you and your partner is going through something, and he may have once or she may have once been a part of some of these things, but right now that's not what they're wanting to be a part of. Sometimes people just have separate interests, and it has nothing to do with fights and upset and bitterness and people no longer liking or loving one another. It's just that they grow and they change and then they become distant. You have to determine, is this just a temporal phase that the relationship is going through, where it's just a moment now that I'm not adoring him so much because he is not keeping himself up, or she's not keeping herself up because of whatever is going on with them. It could be a health issue. It could be a relative recently passing away. Okay, those moments are temporal, and the person swings back around and you're back to adoring their conversation, and you're back to being attracted to them because they're stepping it up as far as their looks go. Okay. We're not talking about that temporal thing, but what we are talking about is when it becomes chronic. It becomes a pain. It becomes so bad in a relationship that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And when it gets like that, you do have to be in heavy prayer and fasting. I'm a witness in terms of what is your next move. What is it that you truly want? Do you want to continue to date this person, or do you want to move on? Is this person really worth all of the headaches, backaches, stomach aches, and whatever other aches that you've been going through? And those are the types of things that you think about in your quiet time. You separate yourself a bit from the person, distance yourself, and figure out, is this what you really want? That's what mature people do, right? Some of you all, you've been there, you've done it. You took some time out. You may have taken a little vacation. You may have just told everyone, I'm turning off my phone for a little while. I need to think about some things. I'm going away. I need to clear my head. And then you came up with a conclusion that this just isn't what I want. Okay. And one thing I love about the Lord is he is not going to condemn you. He is not like man or woman who's going to insult you and call you a bunch of names and just be real mean towards you because you no longer adore or are attracted to someone. He's not going to tell you that, well, you need to stick this thing out and you know that it's causing you a lot of pain. That's where the separation takes place for many individuals who are married. Okay. They won't stay in the same house if they know that they are fighting tooth and nail, and police have been called and threats have been made to the point where if you were to share them with someone, they would say, you better get out of there. You see, God doesn't encourage all of that foolishness, but there are those who they will make you feel guilty, ashamed, and whatever else they come up with, because Satan wants to keep you in bondage. And here at YouTube Enterprise 7, we don't support people who preach those types of messages where they say that you need to stay when it's clear that you are in a bad situation with someone. Okay. And so, if anything, draw near to the Lord and ask him, what is your next move? What should you do? You no longer feel a certain kind of way about this individual, and you might find that it just might be something temporal, or it might be something that you will never get over some things. And if that's the case, then forgiveness is definitely an issue with you, because just as we want to be forgiven of some things, you might have to be the one to forgive that person of some things that have caused you to no longer admire them, no longer want to be around them, because maybe you just had a bad day and you took some things very personal, and maybe they already apologized, which brings us to the fifth A. Maybe they already apologized to you, but yet you're still holding grudges. Or maybe you already apologized to them and they're still holding grudges. What are you supposed to do if a person's doing that sort of thing? Once again, that distance has to take place, that separation. They need to realize that holding grudges is not something that's going to bring peace to any relationship. They wouldn't want to do that at the workplace where they receive a check. So why is it that they, or maybe even you, would want to continue to keep these sorts of things up? Okay. So apologies do go a long way. And then you don't want to keep up the same stuff that caused that person to be offended by whatever you said or whatever you did. So if the adoration is still there and it's not completely dissolved, then work with it. If the attraction is still there, work with that too. If you don't have too many aches, right, as a result of arguments, then okay. And where you are wrong, apologize. Well, blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. If you haven't subscribed, please. And if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. Blessings to you.